Good afternoon, everyone. It's a good way to start. It should have been a champagne bottle that we could have sprayed over. Welcome to the Melly
and Shally.
I must say, we are absolutely enjoying these shows, and it's really nice to be able to see all the comments and the feedback we're getting from everybody. So I hope we have another show today that's going to deliver, educate, help make things simple. And we are so excited to bring you the best we possibly can and show things that has been fun for us to put together for you, and also make sure that it's a little bit more of on a visual aspect.
Perfect. So on the agenda today, we're going to focus a bit more on additives to make it very simple to understand and exactly why you should be using additives and what are the advantages. Because a lot of times you might be concerned with, should I use this? Is this correct for my vehicle? So we're going to identify a few additives that you can have a look out for. And these are really going to add value to whatever application you have.
So before we get started, what we saw, we had an interview on Monday with Gary Pretorius, and we were giving some wine and a holiday voucher away with the Liqui Moly vouchers. We thought created quite nice excitement. So let's do that now on every Melly and Shally show. So these are for everybody that's watching live, and every 2 weeks, if we have the Melly and Shally show, there'll be a little bit of a giveaway. So make sure that you tune in live. So today we will be giving away, and we'll be asking a question at the end of today's show, and we will be giving away
a drum roll.
So a 500 Rand Liqui Moly voucher to use on our fan shop, and also a 500 Rand P&A voucher to buy some stationery for those of you who have got kids or want to get some sticky notes to make life interesting at home, or bubble wrap, or whatever the case might be. So we'll be asking us questions, so listen carefully. So it'll be something related to additives, and a total of 1,000 Rand we'll be giving away at the end of the show. All right, so let's get this show on the road. Shally, I don't know about you, but I know people are quite afraid of additives, and for all of the things that we've tested and tried and compared to and have been given to investigate, I would also be scared of some additives. But I also know it's something that I feel like it was yesterday when I was at Nampo and I was showing people additives, and it was like, oh no, you can tell me about oil, you can tell me about carb care products, you can tell me about gun products, you can tell me about your aero range, but if it comes to additives, I don't listen. Those are not things that can work, and I don't believe in additives. So I don't know how many times have you had that comment?
Yeah, there's plenty of times, especially with especially guys having big transporters, and the fuel quality plays a big aspect on his transport company. And just straight from the bat, it says, listen, I don't believe in additives. Everything else I'll purchase, but additives is a no-go zone for me.
So I hope we're going to make it a little bit better for you to identify what additives to use, if you're going to use Liqui Moly or anything else, what to look out for. So let's get into the details and let's see what it's all about. So let's start with what is additives. So an example or an idea, an additive is if I would wash my hands, if my hands were very, very dirty and I would put it under water, and I would try to clean it. There's some of the dirt that will come off, but if I really wanted it to be clean, I would have to take some hand soap or hand cleaner or a hand wash paste, which is an additive. It's an add-on with the water to make sure that I can clean my hands a little bit better. Another example?
Yeah, so especially on weekends, I love braaiing. I don't know, probably yourself as well.
I do.
Have a nice piece of steak. And you can have the best lean meat that you can purchase from the butcher itself. But ultimately, if you just use that meat on the braai like that, it's not very tasty. So for your engine, you also have to consume different additives, and that is your pepper, your salt. If you have, maybe I know like Melly, she likes the avocado oil, and some tricks and tips there that she gets along the way. But it's really amazing to see what a difference an additive can make, just as a visual representation.
Okay, so for a car, if we take a vehicle, what we normally do is we take care of the outside. So if and I wanted to use this as an example. Let's say this is our vehicle. So what we normally do is we make sure we wash it once a day. Not once a day.
Once a day, sure. That's expensive.
Once a week, once every 2 weeks, if there's a water shortage, without water. But we want to make sure that if everybody sees the car, if this is an example of our car, that we have polish and we can spray it and
some nice
we
chrome
take
polish.
care of it, and there's a whole lot of work that goes into it to make sure that it's nice and clean and shiny, and everybody that sees it is quite impressed. But the reality is, the most expensive part of this car, and the part that gives you the pleasure to be able to make sure that it can go faster, the engine can last, it's not going to give you any problems, is the inside. So even if the outside is well taken care of, how do you know that the inside of your vehicle doesn't maybe look like that? Because this is just now an example of what the inside looks like, but I'm going to have to clean it and make sure that the inside of the vehicle is also taken care of. And that is exactly what our additives are. Additives are there, and it's been designed to be able to make sure that it can clean and take care of the vehicle in the parts that you cannot see. And normally, Shally, what is the kind of things that happen with a vehicle to show that it's actually getting dirty? Let's just look at the fuel side.
Yeah, so from a fueling perspective, there's a lot of things you can actually see, not even irregular engine idling, also your fuel consumption going down, but also you can feel there's a strain on the engine when you're driving it, especially at high RPMs. So there's a lot of contributing factors that actually influence the engine. It's like Melly said, that you can have the best looking car visually, but ultimately what makes it a car is the engine inside. If the engine doesn't work, you're not going anywhere.
So just to be able to look at a couple of things, I mean, you drive, and like just as what Shally said now all of a sudden you see, yeah, my fuel consumption is going up, just not that much all at once, but gradually getting worse and worse. And the performance is getting a little bit sluggish, and when I stop in the morning, there's a little bit of a hesitation, should I start, shouldn't I? And a little bit of a gorillas in the mist kind of explosion at the back of the exhaust. So all of these small indications are indications that the interior or the inside or the engine is actually dirty. But why would it get dirty? Why would, and I want to use an example. This is, for an example, a valve that is very dirty and contaminated. So, Shally, if you can explain, why would a valve get dirty like this? I mean, it's in contact with fuel. Is fuel bad for your vehicle? Is it aggressive? And why would it get contaminated? What is the dirt that actually accumulates in your engine?
So just to have a look at basic fuels, you have basic diesels and petrols. Now, based on a fuel perspective, a fuel is there to ignite. It has a calorific value, which means the volatility of the fuel helps the combustion chamber to move the piston and the crankshaft. Now, what happens is, in terms of the fuel, it's not always the cleanest. However, some companies that do have an additive package in there, but it's minimal in order to clean the engine inside. So as you drive, the engine should be cleaned by the fuel that actually works through the combustion chamber as well. And a lot of times this is the result that you see, which is not the case. The fuel probably being too dirty, or the vehicle not being maintained correctly, or service intervals not being maintained.
Right, so that is what is actually happening inside the vehicle, and what you are feeling is the lack of performance and the increased fuel consumption. Mm-hmm. Right, so that gives an example of what the fuel does. I mean, in an engine, oil has viscosity, so you'll have oil that moves. So if it's got viscosity, it also has friction. So by lowering that, your engine's running cooler. So those are the additives we have in oil. But let's quickly just cover the additives that we have in Liqui Moly. So just to quickly and easily explain, our additives have been designed to make sure that you can know exactly where to apply them. So every single additive of ours that has a blue cap comes with a little bit of a funnel. This is an additive that you would add to petrol, to fuel. So this will go into your fuel to be able to make sure that it can clean, and all different properties that we will cover now. But everything that has a blue cap with a funnel has to go in and be used with petrol.
On the other spectrum, we have the red caps, and these red caps is an indication of diesel fuel additives. So these can only be used with diesel. You cannot mix this in a gasoline tank, especially if it has the little plate. This is for diesel petrol into the fuel system. Where on the other hand, you also have the red caps. These are DPF. However, this one does not go into the system. Okay, so quite simple to understand. Then in terms of different additives as well, so these are the fuel additives. Then we also cover the oil additives. So oil additives generally has your black cap, and this is quite distinguished by the black cap itself. So it's very simple for you to identify which additive am I wanting to use because of which scenario or which application you want to apply to.
So all additives with black caps goes in with the engine oil.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what oil, whether it's 15W40 diesel, petrol, that's the additive that will go in with the oil. The red is for the diesel, blue is for your petrol. And then we have our radiator additives. So these are the additives that will go with your antifreeze, and they have white caps. So Liqui Moly is really trying to make it very, very simple and easy to be able to know what needs to go in with what application. So that's just to bring it under the 4 categories of the different additives that we have. So we're going to start with the petrol additives. So on the petrol side, I mean, if we look at the balance of our more commercial side, trucks and things, it's a huge consumption of diesel. Then as well, I mean, if you look at the performance vehicles, it's always a little bit more of a focus on petrol. I also know there's quite a lot of manufacturers that have stopped producing their diesel vehicles and really going to focus either on the hybrid, the electric, and then the petrol vehicles. But if your vehicle is getting dirty, and that happens quite quickly. I mean, you think, oh, I have a brand new car, it's got 5,000 kilometers on it, it's got 2,000. Reality is the contamination that happens in that engine is quite regular. So it just builds up and builds up. So there are products that can actually clean, and there are products that can actually make sure that you also keep on preventing it from being contaminated. So we have a fuel injection cleaner. This is an additive that you would add to the petrol. We normally recommend on a full tank, because if you add it to a full tank, you have the full tank of cleaning properties. So it doesn't mean that if you have a half tank and you add the whole bottle, there's now going to be a stronger concentration. You want to make sure that the whole 50 liters or 60 liters, while you are driving on that fuel, that it is actually going to clean your fuel tank. So this is a product that we add, and we normally recommend every 2,000 kilometers, or just really take notice of when you add it. You will see the performance increases, you will see the fuel consumption starts going down, and when you start noticing that the fuel consumption starts to go up, then you can know that your fueling system is dirty again, and then just add it. You can add it on every tank. We recommend normally 2,000, or if you feel that the fuel consumption is starting to go down. A little bit more of the stronger concentrated fuel cleaning that also the workshops quite like to use is our Proline petrol cleaner. So it's also a cleaner like the fuel injection cleaner. It's just a little bit more concentrated cleaner that every now and again has a little bit of a shock cleaning for your engine. Then we have a speed tech additive, and I'm going to show you now what it actually does and how it works. Now, the speed tech is an additive that actually, I always say, you can shoot someone with a BB gun and you can have a bazooka. So the speed tech actually takes the molecules of the fuel, makes it much smaller so that the combustion is much more powerful. Your throttle response is immediate.
Yes.
So the speed tech, by adding that, you have a little bit more of a VUMA in your vehicle, and that's something that you actually can experience. Now, a lot of people say, okay, great, is that going to make my fuel consumption actually, my car heavier on fuel? Not really. Your foot becomes a little bit heavier because you're accelerating.
Excitement. No, there's much more power. Why not?
You want to just go all the way. So what's great is we have, and Shally will also cover that just now in the diesel part, and just quickly mention it, and he'll give you the results. But we focus on results. All our products come with a money-back guarantee. If we say you're going to have a fuel saving that's going to clean your tank, if you don't feel that is what you're getting, then you're not getting results, and that's a money back. That's why it's important for us that you get results, and we're very focused on results. And the one thing I also want to mention is while you're driving and it's cleaning your tank, the results are going to show you that it works or not, but it's important to know if you don't know what you need to clean if you didn't know it was dirty. So another advantage of all our fuel additives from the petrol side and from the diesel is the protection of your fuel tank. So not only does it clean, but it also protects. So we've taken a little bit of a test. So we've taken 2 little bottles, and what we've done is we've added in both of them exactly the same fuel. Then we've taken small little particles that you would find on your ejector system and put them in both. In the one bottle, we actually added fuel injection cleaner, and the other bottle, we just left it with the fuel. And we let this stand for quite some time. So I just want to show everybody the difference. So here you'll see those small little particles still here at the bottom, in proper condition, looking still brand new. And in the other bottle, you'll still see those small little particles, but you can see even the rust around the bottle. Because those particles inside, those metal particles, have rusted so bad because fuel is aggressive. So with the fuel that has this, the fuel injection cleaner in, it actually also protects the tank. It lubricates the tank. If there should be a small little percentage of water, it'll protect it against that as well. So not only does it clean, help you with better fuel consumption, but at the same time, it will also protect your fuel tank against rust and make sure that it's lubricated.
So in terms of injection cleaner, especially this product, it's not only developed for cleaning and maintaining, but also has a Octane booster inside, which boosts by 4 points. So if I can give you an example, if you use 93 Octane from your pump fuel, it boosts up to 97, and that is the anti-knocking agent that we actually add into this to ensure there is no premature detonation happening in the engine.
Awesome. And then on the diesel side, Shally, we have also the protection and the cleaning range.
Yes, so to start off, we, like Melly mentioned, we have the Proline diesel injection cleaner. This is a concentrate that we use, especially on the bigger vehicles. What actually happens is that this was developed for the professional workshop range, but you can also use it as a DIY. Then, based on this product itself, in terms of the other spectrum, because it's a diesel fuel, it increases the cetane number, helps with corrosion. And if I can quickly explain to you exactly how it's going to clean this valve. If we go back to the gasoline side, you generally have ported injection on gasoline, and the additive of itself is it has a detergent and dispersants. So detergent is going to be able to remove the carbon deposits on this valve, and detergent is a protective layer that actually seals this valve for 2,000 kilometers. So as the fuel washes over this intake valve, eventually it's going to wash off the protective layer, and then you can reapply the injection cleaner. You know, mostly on diesel, you have the common rail diesel additives or direct injection like we know it. And especially with this helps with the cleanness of the combustion chamber itself to ensure that not only the carbon emissions that is exhausted through your system is much cleaner, but also have a better performance and bigger fuel consumption rating based on these products. So we discussed the Proline diesel additive. Then on the other hand, we have the maintenance product on this. It is a little bit less concentrated, but it's easy to use, and we recommend this with every service that you do, especially you can see results. So now, Melly, quickly touch on the actual guarantee, money-back guarantee we have on this product, because for me, the results actually is just amazing.
So we have, if you're in a transport or the amount that you spend on fuel, we actually do have a guarantee that if you don't save a minimum of 3% on your fuel bill, that already takes in consideration the cost of the product that we will give you your every cent that you've spent back. So you have actually nothing to lose to even try it. But we have customers where 3%, I mean, that's the minimum that we guarantee. But we've had customers with fuel consumption savings. I mean, there's one customer of ours with a transport company that actually saved so much that he could buy a new truck every 3 months. That when he does not add it to his diesel for his fleet, that he immediately knows that that diesel has not been mixed with the super diesel additive. So the super diesel additive, we guarantee a minimum of 3% saving on your fuel consumption, and that is 3%. And we also have a formula. So if there's anyone out there that want to find out more information, or maybe wants to give us the details of your fleet or your company, so that we can send you the formula, show you exactly how much the product costs, how we work out what is the minimum saving that we promise that you would have, please let us know. Either contact our technical department, send us a comment on the show currently, or just get in contact with us, and we'll make sure Shally, Tim Barney, any of our technical support can actually make contact with you, or any of our partners in South Africa, to make sure that they can communicate and show you what the result is. So 3% guarantee on your fuel consumption on the super diesel additive.
Oh, that's simply amazing. To quickly carry on with the SpeedTech, we have a SpeedTech in diesel as well. And I know one of our enthusiasts, he's actually posted a video on Liqui Moly DIY if you want to go check that out. So I've just got a bit of results here that they did a dyno test on a Mitsubishi Bakkie. This is Mr. Arnold Venter, and he's from Michi Tech Performance. So what they did is they actually reviewed the SpeedTech product, and to give you immediate results based on product just running on a normal gas, and then they added the SpeedTech additive. And if I could just show you here that the first run they did without the additive was 72 kilowatts, and they had an increase to 81.8 kilowatts. Now that's impressive, and this does not boost the cetane number. It atomizes the fuel to break it into smaller components, so it's more of a gaseous state. So that's really amazing for me. And in terms of the Newton meters, he went from 210.8 Newton meters to almost 280 Newton meters. Now that's impressive by any standards.
So the important part is this video, as what Shally mentioned, is in our DIY groups. If you go onto our Facebook page, you'll see that we have the DIY group, and the actual process and the results that Arnold and them did with the SpeedTech, you can see there. So we asked, do additives really work? I mean, there's only one way that you really can determine if they work is by the results. And we love the results of our customers, the testimonials we get from fuel saving, the testimonials we get from injector systems that a transport company actually, or the OEM said you had to replace the injectors and then they just clean them and actually the problem is solved. So the results is what makes the difference between an additive that works and one that doesn't. So it's unbelievable. So please go watch that video and you can actually see what the Speed Tech can do for you.
Yeah, perfect. So that is mostly that for the speed tech that we want to follow up. In terms of the oil additives, we have a big vast range of oil additives, and one I really want to focus on today is flush. There's a lot of customers out there that don't believe that you should be using engine flush, and they don't see the actual difference. So we're just quickly going to give you an illustration here of explaining an engine flush, very basic for everyone to understand.
Okay, so I know engine flush, a lot of people say totally believe in that, and I want to explain to you why we recommend an engine flush. So imagine now, and we're using illustrations in Melly and Shally so that visually you can see, because we don't always have the opportunity to go into the engine with cameras and all the details. We want you to visually be able to understand how these products work. So let's say, for an example, this is the oil that's in your engine. It's dirty, it's come to the end of its engine life, you're going to actually want to change it, and you just doing a normal, at the bottom of the sump, you're taking out the sump plug and you're pouring all the diesel out, all the oil out. Okay, so oil, as what it's been operating inside your engine, there's going to be some of the oil that's going to stay behind. That is a little bit thicker, a little bit contaminated, and when you drain it, you're definitely not going to get all the oil out of your engine. So let's imagine in your engine, everything has been drained, but this is the small little amount that's still staying in your engine. So now we go and we take brand new engine oil that we want to add into our engine. So this is clear water, and by adding it,
so clearly you can see the already traces of the previous oil, which leads to contamination, even though you use the new superior product. As Melissa mentioned as well, that even though you think you drain all the oil, oils consist of additive packages that's also surface active agents, and that it actually is left behind.
So you can see here, clear, brand new water, and giving the illustration of oil, and just a little bit of the dirty oil that was left behind, and you see the brand new oil is going to get contaminated a little bit. So if you want to make sure that the new oil that you add to your engine is going to be able to be clean, it's not going to be affected by old oil that's stayed behind, it's going to be mixed and bring that quality of the oil down, make sure that your engine flush. An engine flush, that's exactly what it does. So just to quickly tell you how to use it. So the engine flush you will add to your old oil. You will have your car idle for 10 minutes with the engine flush in the old oil. Please don't go drive with your car. I know a lot of people think, no, I'm going to just drive with it. But now you go around the block and there's a traffic accident or something has happened and you can't really move. And now you keep on idling and idling. And the engine flush has been designed to make sure that all the contaminated oil, and the oil is a little bit thicker, it can actually just flush it out. So you wouldn't want to go and drive around with oil that has engine flush in it. So you idle for 10 minutes, and then after the 10 minutes, you drain. And that's going to make sure that all that old oil that's in the engine is going to drain properly. And then when you're adding the new oil, you're going to have the opportunity of that oil being clean. There's no other contaminants inside the engine to make sure that that oil can last as long as what it's supposed to. So that's our engine flush. All right, so in our oil additives, I mean, we can go to a couple of other oil additives and actually share you the details. I mean, we have, Shally, if you can just have the oil
additive.
So oil additive is what has our MOS2 in. So this is a friction modifier. This is an oil additive that you will add to the oil that will lower the friction, so that the engine can actually run much cooler. There's less friction in the engine. And if you go back to our Melly and Shally, in our first program, we did ceramics, and that was a focus on the Ceratic and the ceramic spray. And the Ceratic is a friction modifier, and we explained exactly what that does. On our second program, we went and we spoke about hibernation and products, and we then focused on oil additive and what is a friction modifier. So if you're not sure, just go back to our episode number 2, and we'll be able to see and cover and understand what the oil additive is all about. Then we have an hydraulic lifter additive. In hydraulic lifter, for all of those of you that maybe have workshops and have had customers come to you and say, there's a noise.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but it's distinct and it's driving me nuts.
It's from the engine.
Yeah, clearly someone is speaking to me or wants to get out. And that's a very, very distinct noise. And if it's the hydraulic lifters that are making a noise, hydraulic lifter additive, I mean, once again, results. If you have a problem like that, and it is a problem because it's not been lubricated properly, by adding the hydraulic lifter additive, idle for about 5 minutes and you'll hear that sound is going to go quiet. Important is, we don't have mechanics in a bottle. If it's something that's broken, there's not a lot of guys in here with their spanners climbing out and fixing things. So these are things that can be fixed or corrected or maintained in a way that a product or a lubricant or whatever can actually be applied or cleaned, or a friction modifier. So all our products, if it's a problem that just needs lubrication or cleaning or protection or something like that, we have a product thing to be able to solve that problem.
Yeah, perfect. Like Manisha mentioned, that there's no mechanic in the bottle, and most of these products that we develop is solution-driven problem solvers. So that is the biggest idea to focus on, is not if you already have issues going on inside the engine, just to use a cover-up product. That is not what we do.
Yeah, we call them plaster, or because I don't know if you've ever had that situation where someone, you know, that you wanted to buy a car. And you got to this guy and you were taking the car for a girl or whatever, and you were taking the car for a test drive, and you took it around the block. There was no smoke. Everything was all fine. You came back, you said you want the car, you paid, and then you never knew that guy. Saw that guy again. He changed his fingerprints, his ID, his name, his contact details, everything. And just like a couple of blocks after that, you saw the smoke.
Big smoke coming out.
Because there's an additive that you can actually add to your fuel that can actually stop the smoking. We don't have additives like that. So we don't have plaster additive that will just cover a problem. If it's something that can be solved, our additives are problem solvers. They are not products to be able to hide certain issues.
Perfect. So if you quickly want to cover this, the Radiator additives we have, this is quite an amazing product. This is our Radiator cleaner. It's used very similar to an engine flush, but this goes into the Radiator system with your coolant, or most guys just use water. Ultimately, what it does, it starts breaking down the lacquer that actually builds up or forms from mineral water. You'll see it's generally like a brownish color. And especially what this helps with is to remove that. So when you flush it, you put in new coolant. So the heat transfer process from the engine to the radiator system is more effective. Because a lot of times you have engine overheating. Not considering that what is the condition of the radiator itself. So this is a especially good product to use on that.
I think if you know what the engine flush does with the oil, and you understand that it's the same concept as with the radiator fluid, you know that it's so important to flush if you're going to change your fluids in your vehicle. So if you're going to change your oil, engine flush before. If you're going to change your radiator fluid, make sure that you flush before. Another product in the radiator range that I believe every single person should have in their car. Because I know I've driven from Douglas, I think, to Uppington. It's about 400 kilometers. It's really good to make sure that the speed tech works properly, open roads. But if something would happen on your radiator or something, there's not a lot of places in between that have workshops that will be able to help. I mean, signal even there is a little bit of an issue to get. So a product that we have in our radiator additives is called a radiator stop leak. So radiator stop leak, this is a product that you should have in your car, doesn't matter what. Because if you get small little chips or stone chips in your radiator, the water pressure is going to drop, your cooling in your engine is not going to happen like it's supposed to, and you're going to have a problem. So I know I've heard things of put borrie in it, then I heard someone say put an egg in it. I mean, then you have to afterwards totally replace the radiator.
Yeah, you're going to need a few of these to clean it out.
Your whole story. So this product is unbelievable. So I want to quickly illustrate how it works. So I have taken, Shally, if you can start opening that.
Perfect.
For me. So let's say this little bottle, and once again, this is not a radiator, this is just a visual example of what would happen. So let's say you're driving and all of a sudden you see water spraying. I don't know if you can see it close by, spraying all over the show. Okay, so let's say that's your radiator and you're spraying and wetting the road is what you're driving. You have a problem. So now, if you have the radiator stop leak in your car, all you do is you can just add that. Get the bubble.
Sorry.
I see Shally is on.
Hey.
Can I help? I see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
don't want to mess too much.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so
cool.
We would add the radiator stop leak. shake it all up. Okay, you don't have to shake it if it's your radiator. You just drive. Shake it all up. Same bottle with all the different holes. Pressure, and you'll see it doesn't come out. And shake it all up again, from pressure, and it will stop. Why does that happen? It has small little glitter inside the radiator stop leak. That looks like one of those things that you can make yourself all pretty for a party. But how it works is it actually seals the hole. When you have those small little holes in your radiator, the small little particles that's in the radiator stop leak actually goes and sits on that because of the pressure. It has three things: the water that heats up, the pressure from the engine,
and the
air from the outside, the oxygen. It melts on those holes. So it's not that you have like a Murray biscuit tire on it that can only drive for another 80 kilometers. If there's not going to be another hole, you're not going to have a problem. It's going to seal that, and you don't have any issues. If the hole is as big as the bottle, then a little bit of a problem. You're going to need a new radiator. But if it's these small little sieve holes, radiator stop leak will seal the hole. No issues for you. You can drive further, and it's a product that has been tested for all vehicles. It doesn't have anything that will get stuck in any of the sensors. 100% safe to use, like all our products. But it is really a lifesaver because now you don't have to worry. If you're on your way to Uppington, you just add that, no problem. One question that I always get is, so can I add this to my radiator for just in case? I normally say no, because and the reason why is, how are you going to know that you had the hole? We want to get those testimonials. We want people to get back to us to say, you know what, water was spraying all over the show. I added the radiator stop leak and it stopped. Because otherwise, how are you going to know? So only add it when you know there's a hole or small little holes in your radiator, and you'll see it's going to stop the water, and you're not going to have a problem with the radiator anymore.
Yeah, perfect. So what I really love about this products is that everything is developed for prevention. Like Melly mentioned, that you can use that in case you need it or not. But ultimately, we want to see results because that's what creates a passion. Yeah, so that's quite amazing to see the basic review on these simple additives. Then we've got a little trick up our sleeves today. We're all going to run a test again. So the additive that we want to review is the DPF Protect. Now, I know, Melly, you're going to ask me what is a DPF, and from the bat, I'm just going to quickly explain what a DPF is.
Can you bring the fondue pots along so we can start setting up before you start
Perfect.
explaining?
Let me quickly do that. Just give me a second.
That is a question that I get asked a lot. I said, okay, so you have a DPF, so I mean, it's like being at a doctor and saying that you've got febrile emulgia and you don't have a clue of what they're saying. I'm making these words up as I go because sometimes there's a lingo that you don't understand, and I mean, DPF? What is a DPF? So, Shally, what is a DPF?
So, perfect. A DPF is a filter that is installed on the exhaust system. Ultimately, the reason for this is in order to reduce carbon emissions, especially in countries like Europe, where they monitor this quite closely. So, if your car goes for inspection every 2 years, it fails the carbon emission test, you actually have to go maintain the car or replace the DPF. And yeah, in terms of costing of DPF, anything like 1.2 TSI motor on VW, looking at 40,000 Rand plus. So it's quite expensive to do. And I know there's a question a lot of times the guys say, listen, I'd rather just cut it out because I don't have that kind of money to replace that DPF. But ultimately, it's even worse for your vehicle. So yeah, it's
and for the environment. I mean, the reason why all these things have been put in place, I mean, in the situation which we are in now, we have only one planet. So more and more, it's the hybrid vehicles, it's electronic. So we are moving towards making sure that we can sustain and make sure we take care of Mother Earth. So the DPF is one of the developments to make sure that you actually have that the air that is going to pollute the environment, to actually just clean that.
Mm-hmm. So a very common thing to actually see is that the actual source of why the DPF is clogging up. So there's two things to look at. You generally have your soot content and you have ash content. So in terms of the ash content, there you have a CRC spec. So that is the oils we generally identify DPF compatible oils. And the reason why we have this is these are generally your mid saps or low saps oils. So we call it the sulfated ash phosphorus content.
Okay.
So actually what this means is just the ash content of the oil itself is reduced. So when it is burned through or ignited, the DPF will not clog up because of the soot content from the products of combustion.
So Shally, how would I know I have a DPF in my car?
So perfectly. So from most vehicles, diesel from 2006 onwards, the DPF was implemented as a preventative measure, like Melly mentioned, to help the environmental pollution. Yeah, it's quite simple to see if you're not sure. So generally, if you're diesel, that's the first tick to ensure you have one. Second tick is maybe visit your closest mechanic, or you can do it yourself by visual inspection. So from the exhaust manifold, you'll see there's a catalytic converter that's attached to it, and following will be your DPF. Okay.
Okay, so I know as well, if you're a lot of in traffic, or if it's the car that the kids get taken to school all the time, and it's not really only open road, getting to that 120 kilometers to really clean it, you have the light that goes on. That shows you that your normal. So I understand that the DPF is designed that if it gets clogged with soot, that it actually goes in rejuvenation itself. So it gets to a certain pressure that it is a little bit clogged up, and it warms the DPF up so that it can burn the soot. But sometimes it's so contaminated that it actually cannot do that. So then it goes into, actually you get the light that comes on, and it goes into limp mode because it cannot clean. It's too contaminated for the rejuvenation to actually kick in. Yes,
and one of the biggest contributing factors, as Melly mentioned as well, is the driving style. So a lot of times the mommy is taking her kid to school, and it's mostly traffic driving, where the vehicle doesn't get open road to exceed 120 kilometers for a certain amount of time, for the DPF to exceed 600 degrees Celsius. So it's only at 600 degrees Celsius where it's got an active regeneration kicking in, and ensuring that these CO2 particles are not a problem.
So let's quickly explain to everybody what we're going to do. So we have soot here. So where did we put it? So I think it's there.
Yep.
So soot particles that have been taken, and we've put it on two little sections. And we have a product called the DPF Protect. So this is to be able to add to your diesel so that you can make sure that when the soot is contaminated in that DPF, that it actually can burn off quicker. So the opportunity for it to get clean is much quicker and much more effective. So you would add this to your diesel, and we're going to show now by adding the DPF Protect. So here is a little bit of the DPF Protect, and then we're going to actually burn both sides to show you how the DPF, which one is actually going to burn much quicker than the other one, so that it can give you a visual idea of the difference or the effect that the DPF Protect will actually have inside your vehicle. So the one side DPF Protect has been added, just getting the flames up and going, making sure that we have the flames exactly the same. This is not for sensitive viewers.
Please don't try this at home.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not giving an advantage from the one to the other.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Richard there behind the camera will also make sure that the one flame is not bigger than the others.
Okay.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Perfect. So just explaining for people that do not understand what soot is. So soot is generally a particle that's developed from very hard carbon, and this is a result of incomplete combustion inside the engine from burning hydrocarbons. So in terms of actually removing this, this is also toxic to humans, so inhalation is not recommended for this because it leads to other cases, not only cancer, but other it's respiratory infections as well.
Wait, what?
So
that's on the soot side. So okay, so please don't do this at home. We're doing these kind of things so you can see the difference.
So in terms of DPF Protect, this product has been developed in order to make this very hard carbon molecule porous. So what it means is it starts breaking up, so there's more oxygen interacting with each particle, and this also increases the tendency or preventing it from burning. But ultimately, it lowers the temperature at which this burns to increase the removal of the soot particles in the DPF filter.
Okay, so we're going to have this burn, and we're going to see which one is. I already see the one
so
on the right-hand side starting to make a little bit of a dry place.
So on the DPF protector that we added to the soot particles, you can actually see it already starts to ignite. And this is, as I mentioned, the porosity of these particles, which is helped by the DPF protector.
Richard, can you come a bit closer? Is there a possibility?
So I can see there's we've got a little bowler going here. We just need some wood and like a braaivleis.
I don't know if Richard can see that how the effect is on the right-hand side, where and we can actually now take stop with the heat.
Yeah.
Because you'll see it'll actually continue burning. Woo! So you'll see already on the one without the DPF Protect, it is also starting to make little to start to burn. But you'll see as it goes that actually the one with the DPF Protect is a lot more volatile. It is going to burn much quicker and keep on burning because of that oxygen infused.
That's already encapsulated within the particle.
Infused it almost sounds like food. I think it's not what we have to go. So a really simple way to be able to show what happens. And you'll see, I mean, we're going to just cover a couple of other things just now, but you'll see at the end that the suit that was covered with the DPF Protect is going to burn, keep on burning, to be able to make sure that that suit is taken off and it doesn't get stuck into your DPF. So you don't have that problem of the limp mode. You don't have the problem that you get to a dealership and they actually want to replace the DPF. And as Shally said a little bit earlier, prevention is better than cure. You want to make sure you take care of your vehicle before it breaks. And that is what our additives are about. Our additives are about prevention, is about maintenance, and making sure that you clean off all the contaminants on the fueling system, making sure that you keep your diesel and your fuel tank clean, making sure that you flush out all the old oil so that you get optimum protection from your oil. All of these properties are the properties that we have on our additives. Now, we started and we mentioned, we said, do additives really work? And we've said as well that we focus on the results. We want people to be able to see the results. So I know some of the questions that have come in that Richard has showed us behind the camera is that people wanted to know, can I use additives together? Of course you can, as long as it's the diesel additives all together and the petrol additives together. So if you want to use the super diesel additive and the Speedtech together, of course you can do that. The one is going to help with the throttle response. The other one is going to clean your fueling system and help with your fuel consumption and protecting the tank. If you want to add our Speedtech and fueling injection cleaner on the petrol side, so you can add these additives. Important for us is we know we have a market that's in over 130 countries all over the world, and it's to add value, to make sure that you can have better fuel consumption. Your injector system is going to last much longer. Your fuel system is going to last much longer. And with all of these things, the one thing that we want to make sure that you know is whether you use a Liqui Moly additive or something else, always make sure that the company that you're buying it from has far more to lose than you. So we've been nominated for 10 years in a row in the #1 brand in Germany. This is for our additives, this is for our oils, and we focus on results. We wouldn't be in existence for over 60 years if we didn't get results. We wouldn't be able to package for OEMs if it wasn't for results. So what we say the product does, we have a product liability to guarantee that. Mm-hmm. If we have a huge amount of people that are complaining that our products are not working, we have far more to lose because we have a product liability that covers you, that makes sure that if you use the product and you've used it correctly and anything would go wrong, we take the responsibility because our research and development is of such a high quality that we put a product liability in place to make sure we cover you as the consumer. So all that we always recommend is make sure that whatever company you want to use, you have backup and you can see their research. You actually know that they have a product liability in place. So if something would go wrong, that you are covered and that they have far more to lose than what you have. If it's a company that you don't know the name and there's an opportunity for them to disappear tomorrow, you have more to lose than what they have. So make sure it's a reputable company, make sure you have the backup, you have the support, you have the liability, and you have a company that's going to be there that wants to add value and make sure and focus on the results, not just the packaging or some of the other details, but actually in what they are promising, they are delivering.
And in case you are struggling with allocating which additives to use, you're more than welcome to make use of our technical support. That's why we're there. That's what Misha mentioned. The support is the crucial aspect to our culture as well. So please use it to your advantage.
If there's any way that you saw, or maybe you have a fleet of vehicles or a fleet of trucks, or there's maybe a situation that you are depending on fuel that you're getting from a supplier and you don't always know what quality it is, all of these kind of aspects are things that we can add value and we can help. So there's no obligation from your side. If you're just interested and you want us to be able to help and identify these kind of problems with your business, like Shally just mentioned, get in contact with Liqui Moly so that we can make sure that we can come and help. So we were talking about a question.
Competition. That's what I heard as well.
So for the first person to get the following question correct, will be getting that 500 Rand voucher for P&A, so buying some books and some stationery, and you'll also get a 500 Rand Liqui Moly voucher to use on some additives or maybe some of our fan range. So the question is, what is the product that we have a guarantee on a fuel consumption saving? So what is the product that we have that guarantee on? Because we have a guarantee of the results on all the products. But what product that we have a specific guarantee on a minimum fuel saving? And that minimum fuel saving, what is that percentage? So what is the product? What is that additive? And also what is that percentage that we guarantee minimum your saving will be on your fuel consumption? So the first person to get that answer on the comment side, we will be getting in contact with you from Philo and Lisa to be able to make sure that we can make sure that you get that 1,000 Rand to spend half on Liqui Moly, half on P&A, and be able to also try some products that you might not have tried before. So Shally, anything that you want to mention before we go?
I think it was a really good session, and I hope it was very useful for our viewers as well, because that is what it's all about. It's unpacking the Liqui Moly range and making it simple for you to understand. So yeah, I think most of it is covered, but like I mentioned, if there's anything additional information you need, please get hold of us. We're more than welcome to assist.
Okay, and then one thing I'm just going to quickly throw out there, knowing that we're busy with additives. Within 3 months, we are launching an additive in South Africa. That is specifically, the name is specific for South Africa. This is something that the Germans, the Americans, they have totally different name for it. So it's going to be very unique to the South African market. So just keep an eye out for all the communication when these new additives will be launched, because we're quite excited about it.
Exciting times, yeah.
I think it's going to add value to the South African market. So we want to thank every single one out there. Please make sure that you join our DIY group, because there is where our customers are actually showing you how to use the products. It makes it also so simple. And thank you so much for everybody out there that has tuned in week after week and have used the product, shared your support and your results. We absolutely thrive on the customers and your passion for the products. And the heartbeat of Liqui Moly is when it's in our customers.
Perfect.
And the results.
Yeah. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, and we'll tune in together again.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers,
Have a good
guys.
week.
Okay, bye.